Hi, my name is Max, and this movie review will be on X-Men Dark Phoenix. And the story is set a couple of years after X-Men Apocalypse and Days of Future Past. It is about Jean Grey getting the Phoenix Force, which turns her evil, and the X-Men have to stop her, and it's about how they managed to do this. It also deals with the younger Professor X, who at this point in the timeline looks and acts more like the Patrick Stewart version from the original films. The cast includes Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, aka Phoenix, James McAvoy as Professor Charles Xavier, Jennifer Florence as Mystique, Michael Fassbender as Beast, Michael Fassbender as Magneto, Ty Sheridan as Cyclops, Alexandra Shipp as Storm, Jessica Chastain as Vought, and Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Now we're going to take a look at the action scenes. The action scenes are very cool because this was an era where superhero films were everywhere, to the point where Aquaman even got his own 2-film series. And the best action scenes in the film are the fight on the train and a scene in space with the Phoenix Force. The effects are really cool, in particular the Phoenix Force effects and the Quicksilver effects, especially the scene where Magneto uses his full powers. As the effects in that scene are really cool as well. Now we're going to take a look at the music that is played within the film. The music is really exciting, in particular the X-Men theme tune, which is really fantastic, and the Jean Grey theme tune is also really fantastic as well. And the other themes are really cool and interesting as well. And moving on to the connections to the Marvel Universe, this is the last mainline X-Men film until Deadpool Wolverine, which is technically an MCU film, but it's more like a send-off for this whole era of Fox Marvel films, in particular the X-Men films. It's also the last film in the prequel, semi-sequel, time travel reboot era that began with First Class and continued with Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse. It also came out instead of the New Mutants, which is probably the longest in development in superhero films ever made, as it came out years after it was announced. The New Mutants came out in 2020, 1 year after Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix closes the book on the young Professor X, who now looks and acts more like the older version of Patrick Stewart in the original 3 films. Michael Fassbender's Magneto now looks and acts more like Ian McKellen's version from those original 3 films as well. This was also in an era where there was a big push by studios to try and get Game of Thrones actors into lots of different franchises. And in this case, they used Sophie Turner, and she was in X-Men and is playing Lara Croft in the upcoming Tomb Raider Amazon Prime TV series. Acting of Jean Grey in this film feels a lot more like the older version from the original 3 films, more than the version in X-Men Apocalypse. Mystique also acts a lot more like the Rebecca Romijn version, and they did Cyclops very badly in these films, as they didn't get him right until the recent X-Men 97 revival of the old cartoon. And also some characters might be in the new Avengers films, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and I think they were referenced in Deadpool Wolverine. To conclude the film review, here are my final thoughts. My final thoughts are this is a pretty decent finale for the main X-Men films. Deadpool Wolverine is a better finale overall because it has a lot of the characters in it and also ends this part of the universe on a really high note. But this does a decent job of wrapping up all of the First Class era characters and leaves it open for them to return in Avengers 5 and or Avengers 6. And the 3 characters that get the most closure in this 4-film set of films is Professor X, Magneto, and Mystique, and one of the better X-Men films overall. It's much better than your New Mutants, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, and X-Men Apocalypse, but it's not as good as the original films, First Class, Days of Future Past, Logan, or the 3 Deadpool films.